Sometimes you've got to wade through the slop to get to the good stuff, and well, that's going to be the theme for this Friday edition of NFL Picks. We're going to start with a game that, maybe not so enticing, but the great thing is you can make it more exciting by heading to mybookie.ag. Raiders visit the Cardinals. Talk to me, Eric.
Game's a bit generous, George. But, yeah, so Oakland goes into Arizona as 5.5-point underdogs. We simply think that number is too big to be giving to an Arizona Cardinals team that's won 2 games this year, and their only 2 wins coming as close decisions against the 49ers team that's, I don't know, man.
Elegantly tanking, perhaps?
Yeah.
Here's the deal. These 2 teams are both really bad. There's no bones about it. But if you look for some of the positions that do really matter, perhaps the quarterback. I'm not the biggest Derek Carr fan. Obviously, he hasn't been great this season, but neither has Josh Rosen. He's been giving teams opportunities to make plays, to pick up some turnovers. Derek Carr is the higher graded quarterback of that bunch. He's top 5 in limiting uncatchable throws. Yep. So if they're able to get some semblance of a pass block, this could be a good game for Derek Carr to rebound. And on the flip side, that defense has been much maligned, but let's throw defenses aside here. Both these teams are bad enough where we should just look at the total spread.
Yeah, and the thing about it is there's the one unit that people will say is good in this game, and that's Arizona's defense. And I think for a good reason. They blitz pretty well. They can cover on the back end. But I think the numbers would suggest that it's not as big of a disparity that warrants a 5.5-point spread. Oakland is generating early down success on over 53% of their passes so far this year. The Cardinals are allowing early down success on over 57% of early down passes. So I think the disparity between Oakland's offense with Derek Carr, who's grading better than than his stats would indicate, and the Cardinals' defense is far overblown.
One extra thing about this game, the current total is set at 41. And as we just illustrated,
it's 2018, George.
It's 2018. Points are going to be scored. If I'm, dipping my toe into this one, I might as well pick up an extra piece of interest in this game. By the way, the best place to do that, whether you're going with this game or maybe a slightly more exciting game or even any other sport that you could possibly be watching, mybookie.ag has got you covered, whether it's an individual player prop, a season-long projection. They've got all the bets you could possibly want, and they have in-game live betting, which I think is a necessity anywhere you go. They have great customer service. They make it easy to cash out. And if you use promo code PFF, you can get a $1-for-$1 match on your first deposit. It's very simple. PFF plus mybookie.ag. You play, you win, you get paid. Speaking of playing, winning, and getting paid, a couple of teams that have done that throughout this season, the Chiefs and the Rams, they meet in Los Angeles, which is a decent facsimile for Mexico City, as someone that has been there before can attest. This one started out with Rams favored by 2.5 in Mexico City. The game moves to LA, and that only jumps a point. So I want to start there. Does that make sense to you, and why?
Yeah, I think 3 is such a key number that I think even though it's a numerically 1 point, it's probably worth more than, say, a move from 4 to 5 would be. But I do think it is interesting because the Rams are not thought of to have a huge home field advantage. The Chiefs travel well, not only on the road under Andy Reid, but also their fans travel well. So it is interesting, and that took us from taking the Rams minus 2.5 early in the week, which was a pick, to now simply just a lean at minus 3.5.
People might not know this, but Los Angeles is very progressive. A lot of artisanal ketchups may not suffice for Pat Mahomes if he orders, say a steak or mac and cheese or whatever. So if we're kind of ambivalent on the spread here, let's say you have to make a choice. All right, so you're in a pick'em league or whatever it is, or you just really want some action on this game. Yeah. You're going to take the spread. It's at 3.5. Where are you going to lean?
Yeah, I would go with the Rams here. I know that Cooper Kupp is out, but the Chiefs' defense has not really played anybody over the last month or so. The aforementioned Cardinals last week were able to get something on them at times, which has been a new thing for Arizona. So I think the Chiefs' defense simply does not have the talent necessarily that the Rams does. The Rams' defense isn't playing well, but it's not because they don't have any talent. It's because guys like Marcus Peters simply aren't performing to their standards. So when you look at that, I think you give a slight edge to the Rams defensively, and since the offenses are basically equal, I would say that would give you the edge here.
I hate to agree with you, but I have to. And the reason for that is similar, right? You're just looking at which offense maybe is more likely to get stopped one time.
Yep.
And I've got to think that there is at least one possession where Aaron Donald breaks through and wreaks enough havoc. And as much as I actually think, maybe the Kansas City offense is maybe better, all things aside in a vacuum, But being on the road, that little bit of deficiency up front, I think the Rams have been battle-tested, whereas the Chiefs have had a little bit of an easy road over the past 3 weeks. I think that comes into it.
Yeah, you make a great point about the offensive line. The right guard for the Chiefs has been on IR for a while. The center, Mitch Morse, is out with a concussion. So, you know, with Sue and Donald, to the degree that Andy Reid cannot scheme away from them, which you normally can, they might get that key sack on a third down or that forced fumble to put themselves in Chiefs territory. So I do think that the odds are in the favor of the Rams to get that one crucial stop that might just be enough to win a game.
I have two things that are on either side that worry/help this. I do think Sean McVay has the advantage the later we get into the game. So if this is a close game, I think McVay's advantage grows. But the other thing is that Jared Goff, his one weakness, and the reason that he's not a top-tier guy, despite how well he's graded, is his propensity to make turnover-worthy plays. That's where Pat Mahomes has the advantage. I feel a little more comfortable that Mahomes won't give the other team chances. Now, I'm not sure that the Chiefs are really ready to capitalize as much as we'd want, but that would be one side that would worry me. Here's the last thing I've got. Total 63.5. 1 million points going to be scored here. You've got to go one way or the other. You're going over or under?
Yeah, I mean, we would probably numerically would lean under, but I think to me it's either you leave it alone or you play the over and cheer for points here.
It's 2018. Ketchup, artisanal, points. Get it. ProFootballFocus.com is where you can find all of our content, and of course, be on the lookout for our early Monday morning look ahead for next week.